It's all good.
Okay. All right.
This is get me loosened up too, because at first I was a little bit stiff. You know? I gotta pick my voice up. About that. Yeah.
All right. Hi everyone, this is Dynasty.
And my name is Charles, and welcome to Mental Health in the Hood.
And this is the Mental Health Show.
Thank you. Good job,
All
Dynasty.
right.
Good job.
All right, so this is season 1, episode 5. The topic of discussion today is PTSD in your neighborhood. We have a special guest with us here today. We have Stephonie. So let's give it up for Stephonie.
How you doing, Stephonie?
Hi, you guys.
All
Hello.
right. See, she's smiling.
This is our second guest on the show. Yeah. So Stephonie, we both graduated from Audubon Middle School.
Mm-hmm.
We both grew up in neighborhoods that came from gang culture, substance abuse. We both came from single parent households.
Right.
You're also a single parent.
Yes.
And you're a strong believer in God, and you're a spiritual warrior. So,
yes, she is. Okay, but we got to get some shots out, Dynasty.
Shout outs and celebrations. All right. So let's start with the first shout out. Let's shout out our boy Isaiah that came through.
Much love,
Right.
Zay. Much love, man.
Thank you, Zay.
Yes, I think he's a good role model for this neighborhood.
Right,
Yes,
in this community.
Yes, in the community.
And I really, when I watched the episode, I was really like, his leadership was like radiant in that through that video. Like it's a great role model for Black men.
Yes.
And it came out at a time that was well needed. So if you didn't get a chance to
everyday people, check out the last episode.
Check it out.
Check it out. It's sitting there waiting on you. We need everything from y'all.
Right, episode 4. The second thing is we want to shout out everyone who came to our PTSD Zoom meetup. It was held on Wednesday, June 10th at 7:00 p.m. We really enjoyed everybody coming in, showing bravery, showing up, telling the stories about some of the emotions that they have been feeling in these last couple of weeks. It's been really heavy for everybody, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So, you know, we cannot not go around this topic of what we're dealing with right now. And, you know, the Zoom meetup really gave people the opportunity and space to have that conversation. But I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to share, like, how you guys are feeling right now about, you know, just some of the injustices and the lack of consideration and the inequalities that we're experiencing in the time as we are right now.
Yeah, I can answer that. For me, it's just like always felt this injustice, this type of mentality, this type of anger and things like that. And I'm glad that everyone is even being more aware. I think the positive thing that's coming up out of this is all different nationalities, races that's coming together for our people, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think, like, with that, that's showing more of a change than I ever seen before, and with everybody speaking out. So I look at the positive and everything, because I always came up with all that emotion from the injustice in the United States regardless. So this just adds to everything. So I just like to see positive things going after all the hurt and pain and things like that.
Right. Me personally, I think because I lost a friend due to police killing him at a young age. His name was Devin Brown. So I used to be angry about the situation and stuff, but when I noticed, like, hate doesn't have no face,
right,
and people just have that in their heart, I learned to pray about the situation, pray for my Black men, pray for the people, pray for all of us. So that's my biggest thing, prayer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the emotions that I felt was just tired, just fed up, honestly. Just years and generations of just being tired, and I feel like the fight is like it's endless. The fight that we've been fighting for on so many different levels, and so many different layers to it. And I would say that when I seen it on my social media, when I continued to see it, it became mentally exhausting. So it was a point I had to put my phone away because I just couldn't take it in. You know, observing that energy. But what I really liked is how a lot of other races stood up for us. That was amazing to me. That was like, it made me think about Martin Luther King, about peace, like bringing people together. That really made me feel proud. But also, what also made me feel proud was us, Black people, like the ways that we stepped up, from the petitions to the protests to, you know, Jay-Z participating in trying to make sure that we get the proper legal assistance on this case. It was so many different layers of how people had helped And that is the things that I notice is that we have to change the way we react nowadays.
Yeah.
Because our main reaction of protesting or looting is definitely necessary. But in order for us to continue to improve what we need in our community and what we need from the people, we have to do other things, you know, and we have to fight back in different ways that can still protect us and our community. So,
like what you're doing right now, this is a fight back.
Yes.
This is helping us.
This is helping us.
Yeah,
just have conversations just to make sure that we are remaining healthy. So I just wanted to make sure we touch base on that. And then the next, the final and the last shout out and celebration is you guys. Thank you guys for following, liking, subscribing, joining, telling people about the platform. We cannot do this work without you guys, and we appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to get straight into this episode. Like we said, the topic is PTSD in your neighborhood. So we always want to give some education first. And we're going to start with what is PTSD. So PTSD is a disorder in which a person has difficulty recovering after witnessing a terrifying event. So when you have PTSD, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. That's the short term for it. And basically, you can have post-traumatic stress disorder for months, and it can also last for years. And if you experience any type of incidents or witness anything that was close to that traumatic event, you can be triggered and go through re-traumatization, which will bring symptoms of fear, anxiety, flashbacks, and nightmares and things like that. So we wanted to just give you guys a brief definition of what PTSD is, and we're just going to tap more into how it has impacted and shaped individuals in our community. So, Dad, it's on you.
Hey, Stephonie, how you doing today?
I'm good.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm blessed.
Okay, it's good to see you. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for
on a
having
good
me.
Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
It's a beautiful
Appreciate
day.
it.
I just have a question for you right now, just to kind of just open up and to hear your side of the story on everything. So one of my first questions is, what is your understanding of PTSD, and what is your biggest misconception of PTSD?
Well, my understanding of PTSD, I thought it was like something being stressful, like just going through some stressful times in life. So that's my understanding, but
Okay. What's the biggest misconception?
my misconception of it, I'm thinking it's for crazy people that take medicine and all that, you know?
Right.
People that don't know how to hold it together and stuff. So that's my biggest misunderstanding about it.
So that was something you used to hear a lot around the community?
I heard
growing
about
up?
the community stuff. I read in books. When I
Okay.
looked it up myself, you
Right.
know, to
Right.
do my own little research on it. And when I seen certain family members going through it, I was asking myself, like, how do you put back from it? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I like that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so growing up in this community, growing up in poverty-stricken environments, growing up in LA, because LA is a culture, okay?
Yes.
We are LA natives, okay?
Yeah.
It is a culture.
Right.
What type of traumatic experiences have you witnessed as a single parent, and how has it affected you?
I think losing my father, turning around, losing my daughter's father. Then after that, losing another person that was close to me, January 20th, and seeing my daughter having to deal with not having my father, not having her father, and the person that played a strong role in her life. So that's what really affected me the most.
Why did you think that it affected you and your daughter the most? Like the fact of witnessing these deaths at different ages and different stages in your life.
Yeah.
Like, how was that mentally for you guys of like going through that process together?
Mentally, for me, speaking for myself, being my age, I think just knowing like, okay, these people are never going to be here ever. Like, I know I ain't never seen my dad. Like, I can understand that, but her experiencing and then me thinking for her, like, how do you feel about this? What love I don't show you? You know what I'm saying? What is lacking in your life that you needed from your father or my father? You know what I'm saying? Or even the certain, like, even Mervin passing away, because how she expressed herself about that, it kind of struck me, because I didn't know she looked at him as a father. You feel me? So it was really kind of hurtful for me, but knowing her being 7, I'm still trying to understand it for her.
Right.
So I can't really answer the question for her,
Right.
but I can answer it for me.
And just the absence of having multiple black men not be in your life, and then not being in your daughter's life. And how old were you when your father passed away?
I was like 1.5. He called me mother. That's where that name came from.
Oh,
So,
that's where mother came
yeah,
from.
my
Oh, we've been
dad.
calling you, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
like I remember when he left, and I'm like, "Is you coming back? Like, are you coming home?" And he just never came back. And my sister, I think it affected her the most out of everything. Like she went into like a little daze. She cleaned to my mom more, all type of stuff. So that's what really affected me growing up, and even now. Right now, that's what I think about it the most. I used to think it was the gang banging, but it's not. It's not having that strong male figure in my life, and then opening up to somebody, loving them, and knowing that you have multiple people that you can love. So that made me like, nah, I'm gonna just build this relationship with me, myself, and God, and my baby.
So dealing with death, absence, single parent, trying to juggle 2 roles. And are you still in the process of grieving right now?
Yeah.
How long have you been grieving?
It's every day. Like just the other day, I had end up, cause I'm learning something new, and I had made something. And I'm like, wow, and then it was gone, and I'm like, fuck, and I started crying, like, dang, they really not here. Like when I do get there,
Right.
Y'all are not here to experience this with me. And my vision, I could never really see them there. And now I understand from the past up until now, like y'all wasn't there. And that's what it really was. Y'all was not going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's like it was told to me before it even happened.
Right. It was like it was still a process.
Yeah, I'm
still
processing,
mentally,
yeah.
and then accepting it. So
Yeah.
being going back and forth through denial and acceptance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great, Stephonie.
Sorry, I had to go a little deep. You know.
No,
I had
it's
to,
okay.
you know.
That's what you're supposed to do. You got some good answers up out of it.
Yeah, you good. I thank you for doing it. This is medicine.
Yeah.
People need
Exactly.
this more than the other.
Yeah.
And that's the
But-
thing we do. We talk about it.
Yep.
We let it out. We don't hold it in. We don't keep it. We share it. And if you
Right.
share it, that's how you can get the help. You know?
Right.
And that's a good thing. So, I realized that you were young when you had a child, but then at the same time, having a child can really change a person's life, right? Because you're not only just responsible for you, you have someone else to care for, right?
Right.
So it runs me right into my next question. So my next question is, how has having a child helped you in your mental state? So how has a child helped you as a person in your mental state as far as you moving forward
Right.
for the betterment of your child?
She helps me to grow every day, no matter what. It's the growing.
Right.
Looking at her and not being absent from that. Like, just growing. She helps me grow. She keeps me close to God. Because she precious. Your kid can't tell you, you know?
Right.
So it's growing.
Yeah, and then plus just dealing with everyday life, you have your stress, your struggles, your challenges and things like that. Do sometimes when you're at a certain place where you feel overwhelmed, that you can look at your child and say, is enough fight for me to get through this?
Oh, don't make you
No, I'm
finna try to make
serious.
me
No,
cry.
I'm
I'm
not
not about to
gonna
play
make
with
you
your
cry,
dad,
but
okay?
I understand.
Stop it.
I understand.
Here you go.
No, I'm just saying, I
Yes.
understand.
That's what really pushes me.
Right,
It's only her.
right.
If I did not have her, I wouldn't care about nothing.
There you go.
I promise you I wouldn't.
Yeah,
My baby gives it all to me. Even when I was young, seeing certain people having to go to jail and leave their kids, I felt sorry for their kids because it's hard to have that parent absent. I don't care what nobody say.
right,
So I pray more for their parent, for
Right.
their freedom and everything. And I know people might be like, oh, mother crazy. No, I pray for my enemies. Like, I pray on a good level. I don't want nothing bad to happen to nobody.
and I say,
Because our kids, is
right, and I
that should give you more.
And I
Yeah.
say to you, keep building off that energy, because to be honest with you, that can be, your daughter can be a coping skill for you, because it makes you have hope. It
You
makes
just
you
broke
not
me
be
down.
overwhelmed,
Don't
but
do
it's
me
good
like
though.
that.
That's your heart. That's
Yeah.
your heart. So,
And I think I can relate to you too. Like my mom had me at 15. You know, my mom was in and out of jail for a while. And I
didn't know that.
My mom was
Yeah.
in and out for a while when she was young, as she got older. But I knew that my mom was trying her best.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even, I never took her crown off her head because she still was trying to grow.
She wore it well. That's
Yeah.
why I'm like, everybody's trying to say something about mama, but she wore that crown well. I went home
Yeah.
to a clean house. I had lights, gas, everything, bomb Christmases, all that. The hardness came from when she had to leave and go serve her dope and go hit the, I seen my mama get her gun and all, like, come on now. But she never told me, baby, this the way to go. She always told me, go get you a job, go get married. So when I tried to do that and seen it wasn't no realness in that, I'm like, no, I got to teach my baby how to love herself.
Right.
My mama told me how to love myself in other ways, but she never really fully told me. She showed me, you feel me?
Yeah.
I needed her to tell me, like, daughter, love yourself. She started telling me once I got grown. I had my baby at 22. I wanted to leave and go to Miami and have fun and just live a life. Like, I didn't want to be in LA no more. I didn't want to gangbang no more, none of that. But she gave me a different type of life. She showed me how to restore myself of growing in my faith with God. Like,
and now you instilling that to your daughter.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you.
Yeah, and that's what I think will shield her from a man that's not sure of himself, a man that's not equally yoked with himself. Like, even though you have the absence of these men not being here, I can't be a man in your life, but I can show you how to be true to one man, and he can be true to you too.
Right.
Even though he's not here in a physical form, on a spiritual level, the spirit never dies. Love is a spirit. That never dies. And when you love someone, you love them.
And I really like that part, because I think that a lot of women struggle with, do I try to play the father and the mother, or do I just be honest and play the role that I can play to my child? I think that's a battle for a lot of single parents, of trying to be the dad, because you'll see a lot of like movies where, you know, when the son gets 12, the mom drops off the son to the father, if the father is alive. It's like a stage to where they like, my expertise, I can't go there. So it's a beautiful thing that with your daughter, you kind of being able to be conscious and aware, and the cycles that have to be broken.
Yeah, because that's why your mother had to go hard 10 times more, you feel me, and be both roles. Even like my mom we grew up around her saying, I want to be the mama and the daddy. I didn't like that. I didn't, and I always wanted her to understand, I just needed you to be my mom. My dad gone. I got 8 uncles. They can be my daddy. Them niggas crazy. Like, I love them. You feel me? My main uncle, he really was a father figure. Even till this day, he owned his houses, he got his stuff together. But at the same time, I commend him for everything that he puts himself up with this family, because he holds it together, you know? So
now that we there, how encouraged are you? So now you are in this space of like, I want to move in a positive direction. I think that's where we at right now. So how encouraged or motivated are you in keeping your mental health in a hopeful place and being stable with that?
I'm making sacrifices. Like, I learned I have to sacrifice now.
I like that.
And sometimes you have to sacrifice certain people you love, and people from your past can't go with you to your future. And you really have to learn that as an individual, as a person. And you have to know that your old self sometimes can't go with you either. You have to really sacrifice self too. And when you learn how to do that and you sacrifice it with the higher power, not of these worldly things, you can move in a different direction. And that's when you start learning everything is energy out here. When you don't want, God would put you in a situation with like-minded people. Like, y'all understood to reach out to me because I had a story to tell, and I wanted to let it be known. Like, when you love yourself and you move at a higher rate and you don't let your flesh take over, you can really move in a direction of sacrificing certain things. You can sacrifice that game banging life. You can sacrifice the time you do in jail. You can sacrifice everything because you have the right to gain your freedom back. I tell my brother all the time, he's in jail right now doing life. But I'm like, you don't have that understanding that you are the person that holds the key to your freedom. And he still don't get what I'm telling you.
Yeah, as far as freedom in the mind. And I really like that part of about the sacrifice, and I also like the part of every new level demands a different you. So you can't even bring the old person, just like you can't even bring some of your friends. You can't even bring you.
No, because with new levels comes new devils. So you can't bring the old devils you've been tagging along. You have to learn how to defeat them and fight them in your most darkest moments so you can see your light. So once you see your light, you know, like, okay, I can be a teacher, but I first have to be a student at life. Like, I have to be this student. And if I don't, where do I grow at? You know what I'm saying? Like you say, I sometimes come back and I see some cats, that's because you still got to feed them certain things. They certain you go somewhere to get your cup filled. Because God got that main cup he gonna keep filled for you, and then he gonna let you go pour something out. Sometimes we might feel drained. Sometimes we might feel less love. Sometimes we might even feel used. But if we know that we're being used on a higher level, and we did something good, you won't feel that way. And
No,
then
you won't feel that way.
you're
at
gonna
all.
feel like you accomplished something.
Yeah. And Dad, you like the sacrifice comment. What stood out to you a lot about?
No, I'm big on sacrifice because you lose a lot to gain more. And I think like sometimes people don't understand that. It's like a lot of struggles that you've been through to have you at the place that you are, and you're trying to go even higher or even farther, things like that, to make yourself better, to be able to cope with life on life terms. You're going to lose people because they don't understand your vision, right? And you have to understand your vision, because even when you trying to understand your vision, everybody want to be blessed, but they don't want to be tested. So you're gonna be tested.
Bring church in there.
Y'all bring it in.
No,
I'm
but
listening. Okay.
I'm serious about that, because a lot of times it's like we give up on ourselves just because challenges a lot of times make you a better person. It makes you even more complete because you find ways to navigate, right, through different aspects of life, challenges and things like that.
Right.
And that's where I got where I'm at. A lot of people don't understand where I'm at today, even though I did 26 and a half years. Some people expected to see the same person that left, right?
Yep.
But that person left was 16 years old.
Right.
That person that came back, you know, sometimes people might label me as weird, but I'm weird for all the right reasons, though.
You good.
And
I remember
that's
when
what
she used to
comes
tell
up.
me about you when I was a kid, and when I seen that video of you and her together, I high-fived it. I was like, look what this girl has created for her.
Or even
Like, you know, it's just a blessing. I don't have my father. So when I seen both of y'all together, that was a blessing. Y'all need that. Like, so what about your past? But look at your future.
Exactly.
and staying hopeful with that, because I feel like we all grew up in hopeless places. Where we didn't have people to look up to. The people we looked up to was living a lifestyle and moving in a way that wasn't healthy. It was sustainable. It made sense.
Right.
It was survival. That's what that's where a lot of people end up being involved in crime, and whatever they do is survival. And I think to even be hopeful and to find that hope, you know, that's why I really resonate with the rose that grew from the concrete. It's so many roses that have grew from this concrete to where it proved nature's law doesn't even exist.
Exactly.
Because how does that even happen?
How does it happen?
How does that happen? So,
And that's why I say when you have a spiritual counsel, you don't need these world, you know what I'm saying?
These worldly things.
You will make that spiritual sacrifice.
Exactly.
And that's what sacrifice is all about. Like, back in our times, before we even got here, we really had a time and place where we had to sit with ourselves and pray for our meals and pray for. So in reality, why not keep praying, even in that hopeful moment? Because being hopeful can give you the smallest faith of a mustard seed.
Right. And
so that's the true medicine. It was your mom's struggle that showed you what you wasn't gonna go through. You know what I'm saying? It was my mom getting up every day, going to hustle with a gun, having smokers working for her and stuff that showed me like, I was 23, 24, serving, having the same thing. I'm like, no, I can't have this around my baby. Let me stop. So I start working. I start going hard. So it was me and them hopeful moments. Like, how do I go do something different? But I still trusted that process, you know? So
I don't even understand how hope exists in dark places like that.
No.
Like, it really has to come from a place. Because I try to think about that time when I transitioned. I talked about it in a previous episode. But I remember even when we was going to school, you always had like this sense of protection over me, just in terms of like, people really didn't like me growing up. Still to this day, it's always been a problem. And it was because I was one of those kids that found hope at a younger age than a lot of my peers. So it wasn't hard for me to really transition, because I already was moving with the mentality, and I grew up and found out that a lot of that hope came from you, and you was incarcerated. So when you got out, I seen the version of me. I'm like, oh, that's where I get that from. That's what it's so. And people don't know that you a spiritual warrior in my life as my father. You know, you're a mentor to me as my father, and I'm just happy to have this experience, however long that I have it, you know. So that's the hopeful place for me. As long as you here, I feel hopeful.
You're gonna get it for a lifetime, though.
Right,
for real.
For a lifetime.
Whatever it lacked when you was younger, you're gonna get that for a lifetime. And that's the biggest blessing.
And I just remember that feeling alone, but it's like, no, your daddy is out, your mama's here. Like, you don't have no reason to want.
And girl, when I seen you and your mama, I was like, she still look good. Hey, mama.
All right, so I think it's on you, Dad.
Yes, it's on me.
We really like that question. We went in.
No, we went in. I see. But just I just want to know, what type of support system do you have or rely on What type of support system do you have or rely on?
Yeah, to answer that question fully, my support comes from God.
Okay.
That's 100%. It comes from God, my child. The toughness comes from my mom. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I don't like it. I can't stand it.
The sense of
But,
protection that you put over
yeah,
yourself.
because it'd be more of an argument. And then right now, we're calm. And I'm seeing us changing. And I'm like, okay, I'm moving in that direction. Like, I sacrificed her talking all that mess and me trying to respond. Let me just listen.
Yeah, exactly.
So now it's more cool. And my baby just got on her knees 2 days ago and was like, God, can you please bless my mom with everything she's trying to learn and let her be nice with my grandmother, not my mom, but her dad's mom. And I'm like, she don't even know I love the lady. I'm just not talking to her. Because I'm not a hateful person, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I got to take it upon myself and contact her. I got to reach out this time. So it's all about making that sacrifice and growing. So my biggest support comes from God and knowing my wrongs to make them right.
Okay.
That's cool.
No, that's cool. And I also want you to know you have a support system in us too.
Yeah. Y'all too, because y'all supported me big time, letting me get this off my chest.
You know, so just try to keep adding positive people to your support system.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to.
And I think in terms of support system, that was the reason why I reached out to Stephonie, because I was watching her social media for a while, and I was just like, you know what, I really see the transition that she's trying to make, and I can see the struggles of trying to make that transition and her trying to deal with that. So you know, I know we don't talk to each other every day, we don't see each other every day, but I think that my heart is pretty big, and it's filled with to learn how to like love on other people and show love to other people. That's how I fill my cup, is, you know, helping other people to know that they great. Because one thing about this world is that sometimes they put success in a box of what people look like in terms of success. Like, you are a success, doing 26 years, coming out mentally, spiritually, and physically strong. And they didn't take your mind, you know, that is a success. Her transitioning from a lifestyle that was generational, that she was born into, that she didn't really have a choice, and then finding hope in a space that was very hopeless. And the same thing for me. Like, that's why we have to be each other's support system, and we have to give each other that.
And that's why I took to you in school. No matter what, it was your spirit more than anything. Everybody that I deal with and I still have a connection with, it's more so their spirit. You move at a higher rate. So, like, literally, people can't top that. So when they can't top that and you grow every day, you're gonna get challenges in life, but it don't mean nothing. They can never knock what's inside. It was your heart. You feel me? When you got a heart of gold, that's the biggest blessing. So
that's an internal warrior.
Like, this is medicine that you created. This was a full platform of medicine, not just for me, but for our peers, our neighborhood, our parents. This is gonna give our parents the opportunity to open up about certain things that was in hopeless moments for them. Now they can see a light. Like, you like, how do we find light in the most darkest moments? People like you.
And there's a lot of people out there that have similar stories like ours. That's why we encourage you to speak out. This stuff is healing. It's healing. Believe me, it is.
Feels good. All right. Okay, so going back to the positive transition that you're going through on Stephonie's social media, she's always speaking about her experiences in a very authentic way. It's very raw. It's very different. It's very honest, because honesty sometimes is brutal to people, because some people rather hear other things than honesty, but it's her truth. And it really inspired me, because you talked a lot about the mental things that we go through and that mindset that we set every day. Like you say, good rising, you know, already starting off with that positive
grand
mindset.
Risings. I don't say good morning because I don't want to mourn. I don't want to mourn, you feel me? And it's morn and morning, so I don't got time for all that. So I say grand risings, because it's a grand to be a rise. Like, you want to wake up and feel good and know that day was already good to be blessed in, because I'm breathing, you feel me? That's why I say that. People fought me for being that honest on social media, but I don't care.
I think the thing about that honesty, though, is a lot of reasons why people connect to people, because people like to know who people are and who, like, what do you identify as, what's your truth, what's your story. Everybody appears to put people in the box because they don't talk like this, dress like this, respond in this way. But that don't mean they heart not pure. That don't mean they don't have a soul. That don't mean they don't have feelings. You know, so I think that that's the reason that made me think about this question with you. So now that you have connected with you putting out positive energy into the world, and now you're telling your story for the first time in the open, which is brave, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
are there any ways that we can improve mental health in our communities?
Yeah, having more people like me speak out, talking to more older people, because they need to be heard.
Right.
And it's going to make a lot of young women and men of color and not of color understand us more and understand the culture of LA more, because people tend to not want to come out here based on certain things that happen in neighborhoods. But it was like, not to bring this up, it wasn't right in the jungles or in Watts or nothing like that, but you seen in West Hollywood cops shooting at teenagers, you feel me? So it's just so much that goes on. We need this to be medicine instead of people trying to throw other stuff in our face, like pills and stuff like this. And the stuff that they use, like, okay, when I went through what I went through, I was turning more to liquor. I just told myself a week ago I'm not going to drink no more. I haven't drank since
going
then.
into substance abuse.
Yeah, I was going into some substance abuse and everything, so I stopped drinking and everything, because my daughter ended up coming back from Lancaster, and I certain stuff I can't have around her. And before she came back, my mentor told me, like, you drinking too much, you partying, doing this. And that's why I was like, bitch, I've been rich before. But you know what I'm saying? I just was turning up. That was me moving at a lower vibration. So if y'all keep reaching out, keep talking to like-minded people and people that's willing to grow, even a person that has not grown, center them out so they can have the option to grow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and motivate them to speak, just like that young man sitting on the table. He don't have too much to do. It's a whole nother interview. What do you get off sitting at you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot. So reach out to everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
That's what we doing. So I just want everybody to kind of share one PTSD coping strategy that you may use. I'll start with myself. I like to use working out. My dad has introduced me to working out. I lost some weight. I think I'm looking real good for this summer. Okay. So, but not even just the physical outlook of it, because I don't want to just be well on the outside. I want to be more well on the inside. So I do, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of my close friends, and I let it out, and I just tell them, hey, are you open to receive? And they be like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, okay, let me tell you what happened, okay? Because I'm about to go in, and sometimes I have to let it out, you know? So that's some of the things that I do with some of my traumatic experiences and things like that.
A lot of what she do first. And secondly, on a spiritual level, I go in with myself. I meditate, I pray, I read books, I drink green juice. Sometimes I go cool without eating no meat. I just don't want no meat, and I just eat a lot of vegetables and practice herbs and stuff. A lot of praying and working out. Like, that's the main thing you can do to get past any stress in your life or PTSD. Like, and it keeps me young. I'm 30 and I don't got no gray hairs, and I'm proud of it. For real.
Okay.
That's right.
What about you, Dad?
For me, I pray a lot. That's one thing that I do. But one of the things that really is one of my major coping skills is helping other people, because I can feel a certain type of way in my life, and then once I help somebody else and see the smiles on their face, or see them learn something, or see them get through struggles and things like that, that makes me feel good. That keeps me hopeful. That makes me look at my problems as less. So that's my number one thing as well, and I love doing it. I work in the field of helping people, so I'm practicing that daily, 7 days a week.
Okay.
7 days a week.
I think another thing is watch how you feed yourself. You know, feed yourself with positivity in the morning. You know, have like a morning routine where you just disconnect from the world before you connect to the world. You know, so that's just something that I would say, like having some type of morning routine to kind of set your tone for the day, your attitude, because your attitude is everything.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, like she was saying, speak life into your life, basically. And be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Like, be your best friend in the morning when you wake up, and have a grand risings with yourself before you interact with anyone or get on YouTube or Instagram or anything. You have that own session with yourself. That's powerful.
Tap into you.
basically.
Tap into you, because it all comes from here. Tap into you. You can't pour nobody else's cup or fill nobody else's cup
But
until
yours.
you fill yourselves.
That's that self-care, that's self-love.
Self-love is the best love. Okay?
Girl.
All right. So since we're ending the interview, we're going to just give some last announcements. But this was a good feeling.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys.
And I know the people out there appreciate you too.
I appreciate y'all too as well. Like, yes,
Yeah.
y'all are powerful. This movement is powerful. It's getting big, and I see it.
You
Like,
feel
I'm
it?
tapping in. Yeah, I be on a page and stuff like YouTube and all that. So yes, I'm tapping in.
Right,
For
right.
real.
So we have our next Zoom meetup. It's going to be our recap and feedback.
Recap and
You
feedback.
came up with that name.
Yes, I did.
So what is the recap and feedback going to be about?
Well, it gives us an opportunity to hear what the everyday people help us plan to move forward. So we want to hear what you guys have to say. So we're recapping on basically all our episodes, and then we want your feedback, and that's where your feedback come from. And like I said, we're not doing this for us. We're doing it for the everyday people. Everyone out there, doesn't matter who you are. So join us.
Okay.
Yes,
Join
it's going
us.
to be on Wednesday, July 8th
Okay.
at 7 o'clock p.m. The access code for the meeting is going to be on the flyer.
Yes.
We're using Zoom as always.
Right.
So you got to go to @mentalhealthinthehood on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and the access code will be provided on the flyer. So tap in. We have our final season that's going to be ending on June 28th, and we
Yes.
have an interview that's coming up with another young male.
Yes. His name is Anthony Bursino.
Right. So Mr. Bursino has a relationship with my father, and he's going to come tell us his story and how he's grew up. So we want to look forward to that. That will be the final episode of season 1, just to keep you guys tapped in.
Right.
Make sure you subscribe, okay?
Subscribe.
I am. Because
okay.
you never
Yeah.
know how somebody else's story might help you. So I will be tapping into everything.
And
Right.
Everything.
And we're also looking for referrals
Yes.
all the time.
Yes, we're looking for referrals. And if you know anybody that's comfortable with sharing, we'll talk you through it. We'll walk you through it. We spent some time here with Stephonie for like 30 minutes talking through it.
And I
So
enjoyed it.
let's do it. Join the movement. Make sure you subscribe. Follow our page. Follow our Instagram at Mental Health in the Hood.
Yes.
Mental Health in the Hood. And then also subscribe. We are at 38 subscribers, and we're trying to get to 100. Okay, so.
Yeah.
They gonna get
Help
to
us
1,000.
get there,
yeah.
okay? Well, at least 100 in the next couple of weeks, if you can, you know.
Exactly.
With the Zoom,
So
right?
yeah, with the mental health show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think people need to know Mental Health in the Hood is the name of the company. Mental Health, the
Show.
Mental Health Show is the name of the media platform that we're
Okay.
using to build awareness and educate people in our community.
Right.
So we everywhere, honestly.
Okay.
Thank you guys for tapping in, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you out there.